Hi, everybody, and welcome to Stop Being Sold. Brian and I decided to bring you alive today because, well, the September jobs report is in, and it, as it says here, crushed expectations.
Yes, it did.
In any other time in history, this would be a good thing, but there are some serious implications to what this is going to do with inflation and also to your pocketbook. So, Brian
Yeah.
and I decided to bring this to you this morning. So, Brian, let's go over some highlights.
Yes. First of all, we was only expecting 170,000 new job creations. We came in at 336,000, almost double what was expected. And instant reaction on Wall Street, Michelle. Dow dropped 300 points
Right.
before the open,
Well, it's almost
and
double what was expected. It's a big.
this is massive. This
Yeah.
is massive because the very first thing that came to mind was, what is the Fed going to do? No
Yeah.
one expected this hot of a report to come in this morning. And the Fed, honestly, the first thing that came out, that the rumors were like higher interest rates longer.
Yeah.
And that's a problem for where we're at today because the Fed has to try to bring down inflation.
Sure.
And if this jobs report, like you said, would be great in any other time frame in history, but just not with the levels of inflation that we've got right now. So
Well, and also let's look at the wage growth that was mentioned in the report. It slowed slightly, but it's still at an elevated 4.2% year over year.
yeah, and on a record low unemployment, still at 3.8%.
Yeah.
I mean, it basically just said the strong report is not slowing like the Fed would like the labor market to slow down.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Well, let's talk about the implications of this. Like, what are the negatives? Because
the biggest negative is the Fed's going to have to continue raising rates,
right.
and maybe more aggressively. Okay. That's going to hurt borrowing costs for consumers, for
Right.
businesses, all the way across the board.
I was going to say the impact to business.
Yeah.
You know,
Higher rates, can bring down, affects your earnings and your cash flow,
and
making
how many.
stocks less attractive.
Right. Exactly. And I was gonna say also, like, eventually, if you're paying so much on your debt, you're not it will actually slow down job growth eventually, which I guess is what the Fed wants, right?
Yeah, to fight inflation, they're going to have to continue raising rates. Someone said maybe another one this month, maybe another one in December. Maybe another one in January, just to keep this down. I think they're going to just sit back and wait. Right now, this was a hot number, but
Sure.
one number doesn't control the whole picture. Let's
Right.
stop and see the whole picture here. So.
All right, let's talk about the most important thing, what it means to people like you and me, the average consumer, because sustained wage inflation is, I mean, it keeps everything elevated
Everything's
and it's
elevated.
eroding our purchasing power. We're no longer able to buy what we could. Like somebody said to me the other day, I purchased these 10 items a year ago for, it was like $100 or whatever it was.
Right.
And now I can only get half of it
Yeah.
in my grocery cart. And
Yeah.
I guess I hadn't thought about that, but she kept her receipts.
Same with gasoline.
Yeah.
We're nearly double in gas prices from where we were a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So inflation, that's hitting your pocket. And think about the higher rates. If the Fed has to continue raising rates again, because this morning, as soon as this report hit, 10-year Treasury went to almost 30-year highs this morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before it pulled back a little bit. And these higher rates affects you as a consumer instantly for auto loans, mortgages, credit cards,
Right.
and any other type of borrowing that you do out there. And it reduces your ability to spend.
Yeah. Well, we just did a video the other day on the average credit card interest rate, and I don't even remember what it was anymore, but it is so high.
Yeah.
28% or something like that.
Yeah, they're going up pretty dramatically. And think about this this tight labor market, persistently tight labor market,
Yeah.
which is what we have right now. Okay. What does that create, Michelle? That fuels demand for higher
Wages.
wages.
Yeah.
Okay. Higher wages equals higher inflation because you got more money to spend, right?
Yeah.
Think about what's going on right now in the economy that we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks now, the auto worker strike.
Yeah.
And a 40% increase in wages. What does a 40% increase in wages do for you, the consumer? You
Means
want
a new living room.
it's an it's everything new. It's a new car. It's this. You're spending more. Guess what?
Yeah.
That type of spending in a higher inflationary environment equals a much higher inflationary environment for everyone.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. This is we've talked about the R word, recession, for years now. I mean, come on, it's so just like overdone. But I mean, at
So
some
predicted
right, right, it's the most predicted recession in history. It's like
ever,
3 years long.
ever. Yeah.
No, all joking aside, so you have inflation that's going to keep going up. You've got rates continuing to go up, right? And there's a lag on when they raise rates.
Right. Right.
So at what point does this actually cause some serious economic turmoil?
Well, my question would be, is it going to?
Mm,
Have we moved to a whole nother spending cycle and a whole nother cycle that we've probably never seen before in our
sure,
lifetime, that higher wages, we can afford a little bit more, higher inflation. The problem is it's hurting the average person.
sure.
But the ones that are getting these 40% potential raises in
I
pay.
would like a 40% increase.
Yeah. So what's that going to do?
Right?
I mean, that's where we're at right now. And you're right. It could lead to recession, and that's the fears. But as we're sitting here watching this now, the market has actually started turning around and going positive right now. So we're in the green. So is it as bad as everyone thinks, or it's always that initial reaction? So
Well, volatility is going to be around for a little bit.
it's going to be. It's going to
Yeah,
be because
yeah,
now the market doesn't like what they cannot predict.
sure.
Okay. And so right now, is the Fed going to raise? They're already thinking, is the Fed going to raise rates next month? Are you going to raise twice? Are you going to get more aggressive? There's where your volatility comes in. 300 points down before the open and a little over 300 points up right now. That's a 600-point move in the Dow already today in the first 2 hours.
Right.
So,
So let me ask you one question. This is about the Fed. So the Fed has
mhm,
been raising rates in order to curb inflation, get
yeah,
them back to their set number,
2%.
2%. Well, maybe what they're doing isn't working. Is it time for them to actually step back and say the things that we've been doing aren't producing the results that we want? Therefore, maybe we should try something different? Or is that even like possible?
I think in my opinion, I'm watching what they're doing, and these cycles happen all the time.
Right.
So, and they're very predictable what's going to happen. We're going to raise rates till we
Sure.
break something, and then we're going to have to lower rates and bring it back down to normal again. Okay, well, is our new normal here with higher rates for a much longer period? Is
Sure.
that what's happening? Is inflation moved up? That 2% target date is no longer a 2% target date.
Right.
Maybe it's a 3% target date is where we need to be at. And
Right.
we're going to go into this cycle for a much longer period.
Okay.
So I guess it's coming out of that, 20 years of super low interest rates.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I
There
mean,
we
there's
are.
a consequence for everything. Helicopter money for years, QE, the printing and the printing and the printing and the
QE1,
printing.
QE2, QE3. Yeah. I mean, just nonstop.
Before, how far did they go on that? But I mean, and low interest rates, right? I
Right.
mean, we just did a video on that economic repression, and that's what this is a consequence of years of policy.
It sure is. It sure is. And the writing's still on the wall if this is going to work or not, because we don't know.
Yeah,
We truly don't know if this is going to work, or if we're just going to keep raising rates
sure.
a slower period. If I remember back in the day, Greenspan, I think he did 17 rate hikes in a row to inflation
Yeah,
to fight the inflation back in the 70s.
yeah. Well, time will tell.
Time will tell.
In the meantime, try to stay out of debt.
Yes.
Pay it
Yeah. Keep
off.
your debt low, build up your emergency savings just in case these
Yeah,
prices do continue to go higher and the Fed has
absolutely.
to get more aggressive. So but
All
the
right.
jobs report was phenomenal for any other time in history. So,
Okay. If you're watching this and you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Brian and I are putting out videos on the daily, and we're trying to do a lot of different, more in-depth videos, as well as just our basic tips
yeah.
on, what you need to do to have a bright financial future in the midst of all this craziness.
And tell us if you want more lives.
Sure. Absolutely. All right. There you have it. Thanks, Brian, for this. Appreciate the conversation. And thanks to everyone who watched.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.